Hi, everyone. So, LS here is in trouble with the woke police, and I'm here to arrest him. And it's going to be super sexy for everyone involved. So, yeah, that's where we're going to start here.
All right. Why am I in trouble with the woke police?
uh, so, I have some Twitter threads pulled up where you basically said that anyone who is raped absolutely deserves it,
Uh,
and they shouldn't address like that. It's pretty much exactly what happened.
well,
No,
look,
no one
they
can tell me
enjoy it on
otherwise.
Pornhub. I thought they'd enjoy it in real life.
Dude, porn is real life,
It really
or
is.
it isn't real life. Actually, I have no idea at this point.
All the porn I watch is real. You watch that hentai shit?
Uh, with all the tentacles and stuff, absolutely not. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Very degenerate.
Hmm.
Yeah. So what's up, my dude?
All right. So, as I was saying before we went live, I'm not here to yell at you. I actually don't think that you're victim blaming, or I don't think you're a rape apologist piece of shit. But you got in trouble with the woke police, and I'm here to mediate the conflict that both of you had. So I have like three places that I can talk to you about this stuff. One, if I want to seem super pretentious and smarter than I actually am, is the philosophical context of it. And I have a couple of articles and studies to talk about that. Step below that is the practicality of the things that you suggested. So I have a little bit of actual research on this stuff too.
Holy shit! You
And
actually have studies on this?
well, not study, only studies adjacent to exactly what we're talking about. That's kind of frustrating. Uh,
Okay.
and then the last thing is going to be your favorite. It's the semantics and optics of how you say things.
Yeah, the things
And
I don't care about.
so, no, to make that a little bit better, I want to tell you a little funny story. So, there's one thing that I saw that I think, let's see.
I can't even find the thread anymore. Like this is so far back.
Oh, yeah, I had to look for it pretty extensively. And it's going to take me a second to actually find the actual
Yeah,
the
that went
real book.
in all sorts of directions too. So I don't even know which response we're going to be zeroing in on.
Oh, okay. So there's one tweet I saw, and this links to the optics version of it. So there's one tweet I saw that made me go, "Holy fuck! I did not know this guy was a piece of shit." And I saw this tweet. You know how Twitter works. I saw this tweet on my feed with stripped of context, just that you were replying to someone, and
Oh,
a tweet of yours says, "Women who wear skirts are at fault when they do get raped." That's how the tweet starts. So I saw that. I saw that without context. Because literally, you were continuing that from a tweet earlier that I did not see.
I'm
Where
pretty
you
sure I
ended
didn't
that
say
tweet
what
with,
you just said. I said,
yeah, it ended with, "It doesn't mean that," and then the tweet continues in the next one. "Women who wear skirts are at fault when they get raped." So I think that's kind of a perfect like segue into. Are you at fault for? Could you have done more to make me not see something out of context and take it the wrong way, or is it my fault for just being a dumbass and not looking for all the context in the world? I
might be
just
a little bit of both of us.
I thought it was kind of funny. So yeah, that's when I saw, and then when I was coming back after we agreed to talk, I was like, holy shit, let me find that really fucked up tweet that he said, and then I saw it in context. I'm like, oh, holy shit.
Well, in context, it's not that fucked up, is it?
No, it's not fucked up at all. It's just, uh, I mean, it reads like a full sentence.
I can't find
If
it.
you see it out of context, and maybe you could have started it with an ellipses or put a 1 out of 2 tweet to show that you were like breaking up a tweet. I just thought it was funny because when we're talking about things that you can do to avoid situations and risk assessment, I thought it was kind of funny.
Did that tweet get reported or some shit? I mean, I got banned twice, like in the last few days. So
Not that I know of.
Well, I can't see the tweet, so I'm wondering, like, did they?
It is so it's
I'm in trouble with the woke police again. Okay, I found the thread.
Yeah, I found the one before that. It's when you were responding to Sarah.
Yeah,
When she said, "Considering most rapists committed by people you know, blah blah blah," and there's two responses to that, and I think both of them are you, and that's where we see that.
yeah. She is a little sensitive in my opinion, but that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is a very light topic that is,
Hey, I
just talking for
understand.
funsies.
I started by asking, does she actually want suggestions? Okay. So here's the tweet. I'm going to turn on my screen share and turn like everything else off so nobody else can see the porn I'm watching.
Okay, cool. Well, fuck, dude, why not?
Because I don't want to get banned on YouTube.
Okay,
I already
fine.
got people who like hate watch me and are looking for a reason.
That means you've made it, though, right?
Is that what that means?
Nobody hate follows me. All 9
Okay.
of my followers, none of them are hate follows yet.
Screen sharing is not supported in audio only mode. How do I? Like, if I go to Auto HDLC, does this work?
I have no idea how any of this works. So
Okay.
hey, I see stuff now.
Okay. Oh fuck! I just closed the thing. Okay.
Actually, the downside of it, yeah.
I don't. Fuck. This is really unprofessional, but I don't give a shit.
It's okay.
Thread. This is the thread.
Yeah, this is the second one I have pulled up of you. Is what you were responding to the one that I saw the fucked up tweet with.
Sarah's question, and it's pretty obvious she get into bands with somebody. I just chimed in because I was more interested in the argument than the actual context of everything that's going on.
Oh, yeah.
So she might not have been in the mood for it, but I was just dealing with it. How do you suggest a sexual assault victim fix their behavior? Stop being a woman? Are you saying that being a victim means you were complicit in it? Now, obviously, the last two sentences I don't agree with, right? It's, whether you're a woman or not has nothing to do with whether you're not a sexual assault victim. Obviously, being a victim of something doesn't mean you were complacent in being a victim. Nobody's complacent in being victimized. If you weren't, by definition, you wouldn't be a victim. So I started to make suggestions about like how you could actually minimize the chances of becoming a sexual assault victim, right? How does a sexual assault victim fix their behavior? And I preface this with the can't do it without getting victim blaming, so don't get fucking triggered when I say it, but that didn't work. So which one of these was it that you had issues with?
Oh, like I said, I didn't have well, issues probably a strong word. Like I said, I just saw one tweet out of context that made you look bad.
Okay.
And it was, let's see, where is it? I'm trying to think. Let's see exactly. There we go. When Sarah said, considering most rape is committed by people you know, that's the one I think you responded to.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I think I saw it.
Okay, hang on. She chimed in on one of these threads with that, but it's not. Can you send me that shit on?
Let's see. How do I do this? Copy link to tweet. Is there a chat that I can?
Yeah, just type it in side chat. You should be able to see it.
There we go. Okay. Paste. There you go. See, that's what I saw.
Oh, fuck me. Yeah, so this isn't my fault. This is Twitter's fault.
Yeah, it's not a perfect metaphor, but a pretty good metaphor for what we're talking about, though, right?
I guess
you did something that you didn't intend to do, but going back and if we're trying to do an overall risk assessment of the situation, well, there's theoretically things you could have done to, make that not happen, right?
Yeah. So here were my original suggestions: carry weapons, take self-defense courses, be careful what and how much you drink, wear clothing that better protects you, and inform family and friends where you're going. I don't know how clear I could have been with wearing clothing that better protects you, but they took that, Sarah and Finn, the feministas, they took that as if you're raped, it's because you were enticing men with your clothing, and not what I thought was pretty obvious. Wear clothing that better protects you means like wear clothing that's hard to take off, wear clothing that makes it difficult to commit a rape if you're interested in committing a rape.
Yeah, and I see what you're saying there. Like, I understood the context of it, but you can also see that, like, it is damn close to impossible to remove any mention of clothing when you're talking about any sort of rape prevention. So,
yeah, I see this as more their problem. Like, if they're asking for suggestions and I gave them suggestions, like, I'm not going to tell them just keep doing what you're doing. You're all fine, right? If you want suggestions, here's some suggestions. They took issue with the framing of the suggestion because they thought it meant something different than what I actually meant, which I'm not sure that's really my fault, but that's fine. Why don't you tell me what well, you said you didn't have an issue, but you had a problem with framing or something? I don't know.
Framing and I just think it's just too strong a word for it. It's framing and the overall discussion of when you say that's how someone can fix their behavior. I think there's a fundamental disconnect there. So let's be
clear real quick. Sarah is the one who asked for suggestions on how to fix their behavior.
Right, and and I saw that, but when he rephrased it, reframed it. I think the second or third when he made the suggestions. The question was how to suggest a sexual assault victim fix their behavior. They could, and let's kind of say, here are ways you can fix your behavior. So the issue that I have with that, or the closest thing I'm going to have the issue with it, is that there's literally nothing you can do to fix your behavior to make you not a rape victim, because just by the nature of the word, you cannot do any action that causes you to become raped. It is physically impossible. Because rape is not something that you do, it is something that is done upon you. So theoretically, none of your actions are going to result in rape, and therefore there's nothing you can fix to prevent the rape from happening, because by the definition of the word and the action, it has to be something that is done to you.
Okay.
So
it seems like semantics. Like, I thought it was pretty clear. The question she was asking was, how do you minimize the chances of becoming a victim of rape? That's how I interpret that.
Yeah, and that's fair, but semantics is super important. I know you hate but until we can develop a link that directly connects your brain to mine and lets me see all the context and all of your deeper meaning and all the tentacle porn that you're trying to convey with your words, the only way that I can interpret them is to take what you say, how you say it, and run them through my own filter. So semantics is super duper important.
Jesus Christ, I didn't even realize this was a thing until you pointed this out, by the way.
Yeah, that is, it looks bad, but hopefully if someone's going to yell at you, they'll do what I did and at least click on it and see what it's,
Do you really think that, okay, that's not going to happen on Twitter. That's fine.
That might be true. I mean, I did it.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate you reaching out and trying to get the full context, but I think the reason I'm in trouble with the woke police is I think they are committed to the idea of not understanding this, or I don't think there's a principle of charity in this debate.
I think that's probably true, but it is Twitter. How much charity are you going to be?
Yeah.
So let me say, I have a quote from an article, an essay written by Rachel Hall in the Journal of Hypatia. And let me see if you agree with this quote that I pulled up. And can I drop documents in this?
Yeah, just
drop it. Let's see, choose links. Because I have a few, so a lot of my things are PDF files because I have access to the full text. So I did research through my university and I have the link to the full text. And if I just give you a link, I'm not sure you'll be able to see it. That's why. Yeah. But if you can draw PDF files, if not, I can send them to you. Let's see. Hold on. Upload. Oh yeah, I can. Cool. Let's see. I have.
By the way, I'm pretty sure I'm screen sharing the Hangout link, so if people just drop it, they'll be surprised.
Oh, okay. Cool. They can yell at me too. Let's see.
Oh no, they'll yell at me before they yell at you. And I'll deserve it. I'll probably have done something to deserve it.
Fuck, what's it called? Oh, I know I have it. Rape prevention in the age of risk management, and I have a version that I've highlighted because I'm super cool, and everybody likes me, and I'm popular. There we go. So there's a quote on page 11 that I think, let me see if you agree with this. I'll read it before if you don't have time to bring it up, but she says, I want to suggest that it is possible to admit rape's ordinariness and for women to exercise a modicum of self-protection in their everyday lives without ceding rape and masculinist violence more broadly the power it currently holds in the public imaginary. Put into plain English, I think she's saying that I want to say that rape happens too often, that women can take a modicum of self-protection, they can engage in that, but we also don't need to think like this. It's just this overwhelming force that can be dealt with because men are just inherently uncontrollable. Would you agree with that?
Well, I'm sorry, repeat that last sentence.
Sorry. She wants to say that rape is too ordinary, but women can engage in self-protection, and that we shouldn't just pretend that men are incapable of change because, we shouldn't just accept that men are like this, so it has to keep happening. Would you agree with that?
In principle, yeah. I mean, I don't think most men are rapists, so I don't know. Problem solved, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, but most rapists are men if we flip that around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of the language around rape, I think a huge problem with it, and the reason that a lot of rape prevention programs haven't worked in the past is because it made and I know this is semantics, but do you understand the difference between passive and active language?
No.
Now, I'm married to a linguist, so I have to know this whether I want to or not.
Oh.
So passive language would be saying that every 5 minutes a woman is raped. So that is a passive sentence, right, hun? I'm confirming with my sources.
Damn, get her here. I'll debate her.
Him actually.
Oh, him. I'm sorry.
That's why I'm in the woke police. So a
Oh,
woman,
'cause you're gay.
yeah, a woman is raped. That's a passive sentence, correct?
That's funny. You couldn't get married to him like so many years ago.
I know, right? I was like,
rights are a bitch, ain't they?
yeah, and I'm in one of those states where it was not going to get legalized. So anyway, yeah. So
but congratulations. Like I'm like
you.
seriously, I'm not a dick right
No, I got you.
I'm kidding.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Our marriage is being tested because we're playing Smash too much. So
oh fuck, which one?
the newest one, the one that is totally better than Melee.
Fuck off.
Don't end the call.
Christ.
All right, sorry. So back to what I was saying. So a woman is raped. That's a passive sentence, and it's a rhetorical strategy for a lot of presentation of statistics. But it means something very different than somebody rapes a woman every 5 minutes. Which both of those statements are true, but one is passive and one is active. And I think the nature of that language has misguided a lot of rape prevention efforts, because now it puts the onus on the woman, and that's how a lot of rape prevention things done. It's target hardening is one way they do it. Like make yourself not an easy target, wear lots of layers of clothes, carry some mace, make yourself a hard target. So what they're basically saying is don't be enticing to a predator. And enticing here means don't make yourself look like an easy target. So even though, and I think you were doing this with someone else with Loser One. I'm sorry, I don't know. I forgot the actual handle.
Dialogue Always guy or something like that.
There we go. Dialogue Always. You mentioned this a little bit later, where they said like, don't make yourself an easy target or something close to that. I'm probably not quoting that correctly, but it is still a form of enticement if like you look like an easy target and that's why they went after you. That's still a form of enticement. And so yeah, a lot of the language about rape prevention, it targets way too much on what the woman can do to stop to not be raped, and it doesn't focus nearly enough on the rapist's responsibility and how we can actually stop the problem at the source.
So to stop the problem at its source requires a change in culture. Requires a change in education. It requires changes that an individual cannot put upon anybody but themselves, right? Like if you are a woman, you can't change culture. The only thing you can really do is take actions to better arm yourself, to better protect yourself, right? Like I understand this idea of putting the onus on women is really unfair, but as an individual, you still have to take the steps. Like as much as I like the idea of training men not to rape, which I think is semantically it's one of those things that kind of sounds silly. It's better for you to just go ahead and protect yourself anyway.
Yeah. And I think that's where the nuance is hard. And if I screw up here, who cares? But I know that this is really tough. But yeah, the nuance is really, really important there. It's take these steps to help protect yourself, but don't make it overcome your life. And don't think that every situation you have to have it in the back of your mind. Okay, well, how can I make sure that this doesn't happen? How can I make sure that when I go to dinner with this work hard, like he doesn't rape me? I think that it's probably not a good thing to have in the back of your mind for your mental health, and it's probably not very practical as well. So for example, here's another quote from the article that I really, really liked, this essay I read. Going off of every 2 minutes, another woman is raped. Given the above presentation, the facts of sexual violence, women are encouraged to fear for their own bodies and to imagine rape as a relentless force that merely shifts its location from one woman's body to another's. Each woman is afraid of becoming the next body in line. That's a pretty fucked up way of phrasing it, but I don't think do you agree with that in the way that rape statistics and rape prevention is presented?
No, I guess not.
You guess you don't agree with it? Okay. So a lot of, and I mostly have data on college rape prevention programs, but a lot of it is encoded in stranger rape, like things like don't walk to the car alone.
Don't happen quite often.
Nah, the stranger rape, yeah, it doesn't happen very often. It's mostly acquaintances. Something close to 80 to 90% are acquaintances or closer to you. And then almost all these programs are directed towards women. And a part of the reason that is that, yeah, dudes don't like to hear that. I have 2 studies on male resistance to rape education. So male resistance to rape prevention programs put in the Journal of Men's Studies. Oh, look at that. So Journal of Men's Studies, I can link that to you real quick. I just came back here and I see you're drawing a skull. It's pretty awesome, actually. Not gonna lie.
Actually, a living person, but
it's a living. Wow. Okay. Well, you're going layer by layer. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. All right. It's a skull. I don't know what I'm drawing.
All right. So there's another study. Basically said that dudes don't like to hear it.
Okay. Well, they're pussies. They need to hear it. Like, I don't know what. I would imagine it's mostly geared towards women because women are most often the victims of rape. Like, I don't know. Like, is it really that men need to hear this often?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. To me, targeting women with rape prevention courses is kind of like painting over your wall when there's water damage coming from the pipes above. Like, you're like, that is the result. The women getting raped, that's the result of the thing. But what actually caused it was demand. So you can either paint over the wall and try to paint over the result of it, or you can actually go to the problem at the source and try to stop it there.
Okay. So what's the source is what?
So source is
culture?
Yeah, the huge part of culture. And a lot of it is not just the rapist, but also the environment he's around, which is the roundabout way of saying culture. But a lot of the dudes in this study that I just presented to you saying, like, I'm not going to rape a lady. I don't need to hear this. Or, like, this isn't for me. I'm a good guy. I'm going to treat women with respect. I don't need to hear this. And I would be really pissed. You can see a lot of the language they use. I'd be pissed if I was forced to go to all this stuff. But a lot of it is, if there's just one dude in your frat of 40 people who would actually, there's a really disturbing amount of like studies saying that like a third of dudes would rape a woman if they could get away with it. I can't remember where I saw it. It's in one of the studies that I have here.
I vaguely remember hearing that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's I don't know the validity of the study, but it was quoted in one of these. And
are these also geared towards women to take these same things?
The same things? Well, they talk about it, and a lot of it is, almost all of them are geared toward both. But it is a matter of, is it mandatory? Are classes separated by gender? Is there, things like that? And they found just in the cursory research that I did that it tends to do best. I have 2 more here if you want me to link them to you.
You can link them, but I promise you I'm probably not going to read them.
That's okay. Well, you'll have them, and I feel damn it, I did my research. I'm gonna do something with them here. So, efficacy of a high school prevention program in Israel. So they did something like this in Israel, and it's not just the one in Israel. They also reference a lot of studies done in the U.S., which is kind of neat. Yeah. But anyway, they have modest effects. Dude, these are some awesome pictures. I'm gonna have to like send you my a fursona.
A fursona?
Yeah, I'll send you my fursona. Can you work off commissions?
Yeah.
I'm mostly kidding. Mostly. Yeah. All right, but so like I said, there are studies that have looked into this, and yes, there is a. Granted, it's only self-reporting. They don't go back into it and say, "Hey, have you raped someone yet? Have you been arrested for rape?" to address the efficacy of the study. But they have gone through like 6-month follow-ups. So they still have these attitudes, these rape myth acceptance. So they still have empathy towards the victims, things like that. And there's a moderate success, except one of those studies basically flat out says that the dudes who are most likely to rape aren't affected by these very much at all, which is super depressing and kind of goes against my point and makes me very sad.
Kind of makes them a waste of time, then, don't it? Like the men who, the men who most need them aren't affected by them. The men who don't have to sit through it all the same, right?
Yeah, you could make the argument that if more men around them are resistant to the idea and are more empathetic with victims and like stop language at its source, basically if they are willing to be called a huge pussy in front of their frat bros and say, "Hey, dude, you shouldn't talk to your," if enough dudes are huge pussies. And I say this in the frat boy sense of the word, and say, "Dude, like you shouldn't talk about your girlfriend like that."
Short for pusillanimous.
Pusillanimous. Yeah, there we go. Pusillanimous. If enough dudes are pusillanimous enough to like stand up to the, John Belushi character or whoever. I actually haven't seen any of those movies.
Tizzy says that study is garbage. Tizzy, you want to come here and argue with the woke police about it?
Oh, someone paid attention to me.
Tizzy, well, I paid attention. Just like you got half my attention. Tizzy's a better debater than I am. You can probably argue with him about it. We're not going to wait on Tizzy to answer. You can keep going. Oh, he's driving.
You driving?
Well,
Debate me while you drive, you coward.
Yeah, pull. What you do is you take the steering wheel, you pull it to the side of the road, you take your shift stick, and you put it in park, and then you can talk.
Yeah, he's just scared. That's why.
Yeah, well, you got that Ben Shapiro fucking face. I'd be scared too.
It's very horrifying, and that's probably why I'm scared. Yeah.
Hey, type in the chat so I can give you mod powers, and you can spam these studies for Tardolv and like everybody else who's asking for them.
Oh, okay.
Like, type something in chat. I'll give you mod. In fact, I'm taking mod away from Tizzy for being a pussy. He can keep the mod.
Wait, they didn't even see the studies that I posted, and they know it's garbage.
Well, I gotta request access to them, and I'm not going to do that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the other ones too. They were free to do it.
I can give you titles for stuff, so so you can look it up yourself.
Post in chat, and I can give you mod powers, and you can just pay.
I did. I said something, didn't I?
Who are you? Tardolf, Oreo, Stocking Fan 15. I don't see you anywhere in chat.
Fuck, dude. Group chat. I'm there. What the fuck? I don't know these things.
Okay, so what you do is you go to say something and you type something like hello.
I've done that a few times.
And when you hit enter, you should yeah.
Yeah.
Are you somebody I banned from my account?
I hope not. It's the first time I've ever seen you. This is how great I am at this. All right. I'm under group chat.
Are you any of these hidden users?
Hidden users. I don't see myself now.
Okay.
I'm probably just really dumb.
I'm beginning to think Shane Marshall might be Negro Joe.
Oh, no.
Or if that's his actual name. Wouldn't that be sweet? Getting the docs of Negro Joe. They were self-reporting and had small sample sizes. Yeah, so what's wrong with that, Tizzy? How small were the sample sizes? Can you tell me what the sample sizes were in the study you're talking about?
Which one?
Oh, fuck. I guess I think the one Tizzy took issue with was the one where it said, like, most college or most frat students said something to the effect, not most, a fair number said they would rape somebody if they knew they could get away with it.
Oh, fuck. None of these studies say that. They just mentioned it in passing. So it's not a subject of any of the studies that I've seen. It was mentioned as referenced in one of the studies that I've read. So, fuck. I don't know. Let's see.
Males would rape.
Oh, okay. Let's see. I kind of see it. All right. In an oft-cited study, for example, Malamuth in 1981 discovered that 35% of college men expressed some probability of raping a woman if they knew they would not be caught. So I highlighted that. So Malamuth, 1981. I can give you the title. It's 1981. So take that. It's cited in this study from 2010, but they're citing it. So Malamuth, 1981. I can scroll down to the sources. Malamuth. 1981, rape proclivity among males in the Journal of Social Studies. So there you go if you want to look at that. I don't know what that study says at all. It's just sourced in the study that I have.
Sounds like a feminist study. You didn't even read it?
Almost. No, it was, like I said, all I have are the things that research is fucking horrible. Everything you want to say or every cool point that you have has to be sourced out the ass if you want to be taken seriously in academia. Like, you can't say the sky is blue without 4 sources to back it up. So I'm not going to go to bat for that study because I haven't personally read it. I'm just saying that this peer-reviewed paper is citing it as a source, and so I wouldn't throw it out just because it says something I don't like. I would have to actually look at it first.
Okay. So what about the specific issues you took specific issues with the suggestions I made?
Oh, yeah. So if you So as you learned, if you're going to talk about the nuances of rape prevention, if you're going to suggest something for the woman to do, it's got to be damn bulletproof. Like you got to not be able to poke holes in it at all. And a couple of them, I think, are a little bit too easy to poke holes in. The first two, I don't know the first two, but the first two that I probably take issue with most are arm yourself and take self defense classes. Those are fine.
What's the issue you have with those?
What's up?
What's the issue you have with those?
Issue you have?
What is the issue you have with those suggestions?
Oh, yeah, sorry. So I forgot what the effect is, but there's a very real amount of literature that says that being armed or being very confident in your ability to fight actually makes it more likely that you're putting into more likely that you enter in a situation that makes you more at risk in the first place, or that makes you more aggressive. So, for example, someone with a woman who is armed and knows how to use her gun is probably more willing to go home with a stranger and put herself more at risk, or she's probably more likely to have an extra drink or two at a party because she knows she can protect herself if something goes wrong. So,
well, it doesn't seem like a bad thing to me.
I mean,
like you're armed with the confidence to know that you can be freer with your way of life because you can know how to protect yourself. That seems like a good thing.
It is. I would say it's not a bad thing, but I wouldn't say it's a good thing as well because, again, you're putting yourself into a situation where you might be more likely to experience some sort of physical harm, up to and including rape. So there's a kind of it almost becomes a wash. And I have a couple of articles. I told you I'm fucking ready here. Like here's an article from Psychology Today that says. That basically has a bunch of sources linking to it. It says that guns can make you more aggressive.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Are you seeing any of these? Like, why am I don't think I'm in chat. It just looks like me here. I'm typing in group chat.
Click. I mean, I sent you the URL. Are you on my channel?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Google Hangouts.
Okay.
Wait, is that where I'm?
No. Dipshit. Go to my YouTube channel where the video's playing. Type in that chat.
Oh, okay, cool, awesome. I can do that.
All right, I was confused the first time.
I was also confused. I'm very dumb. If it's not already obvious.
I'm dumber. Don't worry about it.
That'll do it. Okay, I found it.
Why are you whispering?
You're in trouble with the woke police. All right.
Are you?
No, that's the title of the video.
Oh, I thought you were the woke police.
Oh.
In fact, you described yourself as a rank and file member of the woke police when you
did. I'm just reading the title of your video. There's no internal conflict in the woke police, sir. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
You can't go to a bar with a gun? Yeah, I'm talking like at a party or something. I know the studies, they were self-reporting and had small sample sizes. That's kind of true. The one that I'm quoting right now, male resistance to rape prevention programs, I think it was just a couple of hundred students.
All right, you got moderator, so feel free to spam all your shit.
Spam all my shit. I'll do it. Let's see.
I could join the call. Okay, do you want to talk? Tardolf, what do you want to say? Actually, I'm just dropping the invite link. Like, okay, so here's the issue, guys. I said that rape was okay if she was really asking for it, right? And you can tell if she's asking for it by her body language. If she doesn't resist hard enough, she's asking for it, right? Women are designed by society. They're programmed by society to say no. But in actuality, their own body language consistently says yes. Fuck me without consent.
I can confirm that's basically verbatim what he said. He's a monster.
Yeah. No, so the issue was Sarah, who's Legend of Phoenix. Some of you guys probably know her, actually asked for suggestions for how a victim of sexual assault can prevent sexual assault, and I gave suggestions, and everyone took issue with my suggestions. Carry weapons. Which your issue is it makes people more confident to actually like put themselves in danger in such a way that gives them that they're more
Yeah, that's basically it.
conflict. Well, so my issue with that, yeah, I mean, I understand that. I've heard this argument too when it comes to things like conceal carry, that you're more likely to be engaged in conflict. I understand that. That being said, this could apply to things like be careful what and how much you drink as well. Like if you're drunk, you're more likely to engage in conflict, right? Like you wouldn't tell women they can't drink though, right? You wouldn't offer like any kind of dramatic lifestyle change as a means of preventing rape.
No,
I don't see the difference between that suggestion and what I said.
So the difference with be careful with how much you drink is that there's a lot of reasons to watch what you drink, and there's a lot of other things other than rape that this could apply to. Like you're more likely to get in an accident. You're more likely to develop a a drinking problem in the future that could be a long-term form of health. You're more likely to say something to someone else that you later regret, versus something like a weapon. There's one use for a weapon. You're really doing it as a means of self-defense or as a means of attack. That's really the only thing that's there for, unless you want to show it out and look cool. So I don't think I see what you're saying there, but I don't think those two things are perfectly analogous.
I'm not so sure I agree.
Okay.
I mean, I see taking self-defense courses as just like a necessary precaution to life in general.
Yeah, and that's fair, but there's also a lot of problems with that. Like, let's hope that you can afford self-defense classes. Let's hope your teacher's not an absolute.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, like this was the criticism what's her face gave me, not Sarah, but the other girl, Ben. Yeah. Not everyone wants to carry weapons. Well, fuck, then don't carry a weapon. Not everyone has access to self-defense classes, and disabled people exist. Well, then fuck, don't take self-defense classes. Like, I can't give you a suggestion that's 100% foolproof for fucking everything. All I can do is just give you a generalized idea of things you can do. Right?
Yeah,
like, obviously this doesn't apply to everyone. If you're a complete asshole who gets in trouble with people all the time, who's very abrasive, who can't handle their shit, don't take self-defense classes, don't carry a weapon. Don't do that, right? This is obviously is just based on personality type. If you have the personality type that allows you to cope with handling a weapon, or the personality type that allows you to defend yourself, right? And it seems weird to say there's a personality type for that, but there is.
There is.
It only applies to you. Obviously, I'm not going to be suggesting, like, this isn't for everyone. Obviously, this isn't going to be for everyone.
Well, it's kind of like saying if there's a solution that you put forth and it's only going to work for 4% of people, is it really worth putting forward if you're having a broad context? Like if you're saying, like, here's another way you can not be raped. You could call your butler and have him watch you as you have sex.
Yeah,
that's a way to not get raped. I mean, that's technically a solution, but is it worth bringing up if it's not going to apply to a great many people?
I mean, you could bring it up if somebody asked for ideas. I think that sounds like a stupid idea. It sounds like an impractical idea. I think the ideas I suggested are generally things that could apply to most people, though. Like, I don't know where you get 4% from, but I think generally, be careful what and how much you drink is good general advice.
Yeah.
For everyone.
That's the thing. It applies to a lot of things. It applies to a broad range of
right. And it specifically applies to this.
Yeah. So you used an analogy that I think that I didn't like. That I think.
It's a seatbelt analogy, isn't it?
So used a seatbelt, for example.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, if
who the fuck is in this chat?
Who the fuck is here?
Stefan, get the fuck out of here.
No, I'm Turtle. Don't worry.
I might have just doxed you.
No, you didn't. Don't worry.
Okay, whatever. Somebody uses their real name on the internet anyway.
It's because my Google account is like 3,000 years old. It's like,
yeah. So what do you want to say, dude?
Yeah. First of all, I want to, most of these studies are really old. And while I don't agree with the Liberal Sanity Project here, these really old studies is really not a good, framing.
Do you have a better
What would you consider a really old study?
Yeah, if you take a study from 1981, I think there is a gigantic, like a cultural difference between now and the attitude back then.
Yeah, does that really apply? There's a gigantic cultural difference between 2012 and 2019. Would you call that too old a study?
So both of my studies that I have here are from 2009, 2011, which are, once a decade old, which is fair. But I think it's unfair to just assume they're out of date unless you have to have new data. You could say that my data is not good enough, and that's fair, but I wouldn't outright dismiss it.
Yeah, no, I don't. But I also think that these self-reported, studies from like the 80s or 70s or 60s or whatever you take it is very heavily related on the current, cultural view on things. But I also think that there is a real issue with that. There is even a study that says that so many people would do it if they could get away with it. But who did that? Was it 2 in 5 or 1 in 5 study that I know that H-Bomber guy?
Yeah, that was the study for those 3 colleges or 4 colleges, the 4 universities.
Yeah. And in that study, it's even more if you read the study, I think. But
it was close to 1 in 4 in the one he brought up.
Yeah, and I think I don't think there is anything that women really can do to prevent themselves from getting assaulted. I think this is a issue that is most heavily relied on men.
Just sit there and take it?
No. No, I'm just saying that the issue is basically that men assault women, not that they drink too much or that they wear the wrong clothing.
So the way I see it is, if you're somebody who's interested in assaulting women, you're not going to go for a target that's going to resist, right? A target that's sober, a target that's wearing jeans that you can't rip off as easy, a target that's capable of kicking your ass. Right, you're going to be smart about this sort of stuff if you want to be a rapist.
Well, yeah, if you're a rapist, you're probably going to do something really smart. Like, you're going to find someone that that you've had drinks with, someone who you've already developed some sort of trust with.
Yeah,
and then you're going to try to get them alone in some way, shape, or form. Like, maybe invite them in under false pretenses, get a few drinks in them, and then maybe you're going to pressure them into having sex with you. And then when they say no, you're not going to take that no as an answer, and you're going to try to continue to press on them until they eventually either relent or you get them in a position where they just can't leave and can't say no. That's what a rapist is typically going to do.
Yeah.
Because, like, as we said, the vast majority of rapists are not strangers in the bush. They are the acquaintance who.
Here's the question: is there a correlation? Like, I know this is a weird question, but is there like a correlation between alcohol consumption and rape?
Yeah, almost definitely. I really hate that I cannot remember off the top of my head where I heard that or which study that I had that says that. Shit. But I know I've seen that before, and I'll be happy to do some more research and find exactly where I saw that. I think it might have been. Fuck. Yeah. I've seen it somewhere, which is a bulletproof source. I've seen it somewhere on the internet, which means my reasoning is bulletproof. You can't touch that.
Combat training and be armed 24/7. Is it reasonable for everyone to get combat training and be armed 24/7? Probably not. But so what? Like that does. It's not reasonable for everyone to wear a seatbelt. Like, I know it's going to piss you off, but like, obviously not everyone's going to do it. Do it if you can. Don't do it if you don't want to. Like, what kind of answer are you looking for?
So what do you think about people who say that you should fight climate change by using reusable straws?
They're fucking idiots.
No. Why are they fucking idiots? Every little bit counts. Inflate your tire properly.
But we know the major causes from it.
Yeah.
These things are just putting it on the everyday consumer instead of, nibbing the real culprits of it. And like, we're already recycling everything we can. We're already down to, low energy light bulbs.
Are you really recycling everything you can?
Well, at least here we do, because we're required to do it. But I don't know about other countries, of course. But it's just at some point you have to go after the big culprits and not, just the consumer.
So I don't understand this argument that just because somebody can take some actions, that's the only answer to a problem. right? Like that, just one individual can take it upon themselves to do something. That everything must be down to that one individual. Then it can simultaneously be that you should change your habits as a consumer.
Oh
and,
yeah, absolutely.
and inflate your tires properly. Use renewable straws. Recycle your goods. And it can also be we need to regulate oil and gas. We need to promote green energy. Like it can simultaneously be all of these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all that's fair. The issue becomes if you are put in charge, if you're in a position where your goal is to prevent. Let's say your campus has a huge sexual assault problem, and you have been put in charge of designing a program to try to reduce that number of sexual assaults. How much time do you devote to telling women what to do to not get raped, and how much time do you devote to say, let's make some mandatory classes for every single employee to go under and say, hey, here's what constitutes sexual assaults, and all these things that are backed up by research. How much time would you spend telling the women to not be raped? I'm sorry, that's an unfair way to put it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, so I'm a fan of just doing what works. Like if you arm women with the knowledge of things they can do to prevent themselves from being raped, and they take that knowledge and it has an effect, then that's great. And if you can arm men with the knowledge to not rape, I know that sounds dumb, but if that's effective, then do it. But I think the issue is that's not effective, right? Like consult classes aren't doing anything to bend the curve, are they?
Let's see. The one study that I had is really depressing. They said that basically the most high risk men. Yeah, the one study that I have on this rape prevention with college men. It's a 2009 study, I think. Where is it? Yeah, 2009 study basically says the high risk men. Not only did it almost like made them angrier that that you would even consider that maybe they should have empathy for victims, and maybe women aren't asking.
Yeah,
for it.
yes. Look how people reacted to the Gillette.
Quality is on right now.
I mean,
shit over that.
Yeah, they went ape shit over the mere suggestion that we can do better.
They said, "Don't be assholes." It hurt my feelings. Where you at, Claudia?
It was so absurd to watch that happen. I was like, "What are you doing?" No. But either way, when it comes to things like climate change, I agree that we all need to do something, right? But right now, it's so heavily put on only the consumer, and the countries doesn't do enough to push the companies to actually do anything. And there are so many big super companies that own so many brands of things that it doesn't matter if we boycott something, Nestle is still gonna fuck us. I mean, I don't think consumer power is.
Well, no. Do you think Nestle wants like bad publicity? Like it's probably not good for their bottom line. It's not very good for their wallet, right? To have boycotting their goods. I reject this idea that boycotts are a completely ineffective form of protest. They are. They actually work wonders. It's the reason why Fox News has been struggling ever since, like the ad boycotts from things like that Tucker Carlson has said or Sean Hannity has said.
But there's a pretty big difference between consumer boycotts and advertiser boycotts, right? Like one of those has a much larger effect than the other.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just all it takes is one person to pull the plug, and now your ad isn't on there anymore. Don't you
think advertisers listen to consumers?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
That's who they're targeting, right?
Yeah.
I mean, their ads only succeed on your goodwill, right? They have to sway you for their ads to have success.
Yeah, absolutely. But when it comes to goods and services, so to speak, there is a very few, brands or companies that own, basically everything. And I'll put the link. I will put a link in chat here that shows a neat little graph of it. It's like it's really hard to actually do any boycott that matters when it comes to buying, food and stuff like that. But it's much easier to do it when it comes to, not watching something, I think. Even though USA has a problem with the Sinclair broadcast group, but
I think that we really romanticize the idea of saying that, okay, you can do something to prevent this. That means like I'm going to take a physical action that I can actually see it happen, even though like calling a congressman, that's still an action. Like telling someone else who has more power than you to do a thing, I mean, that's still in a way that's taking action, and it can actually result in a much more broad approach to the problem. That's actually going to have a much bigger impact than you just wearing jeans instead of a skirt, or instead of you using a gross reusable straw or something like that.
Okay. What does this have to do with anything?
I put that off as an analogy, but definitely not my forte here.
What I mean is,
Talking these guys, that'd be smart. Wrigley's that big? Neat.
yeah, like, and it was also the problem. Like, if you wanna, let's say you wanna boycott anything, like airplane, what do you call it? An airplane company or something, you want to boycott United. It doesn't really matter because the brand that owns it owns every other airline as well. So
yeah, but do you really think the brand that owns United wants United to fail?
No, not really. Of course not.
I'm still not unsure what the argument is you're trying to make. Like that it's ineffective. Like I don't know why. Why do you say that?
I think it's ineffective because when you talk about like CO2 emissions and stuff like that, going after or choosing to boycott smaller brands and stuff like that won't do if we can't get our leaders to push the real, companies. And they are not doing it. All they do is trying to push us to buy reusable straws instead of actually taking action against, the really big companies that are, the source of this problem.
Yeah. I don't know. Climate change kind of feels like off and to the side of what we were originally talking about, but I take your point.
I brought it up as an analogy to how effective is your own personal actions on stopping a systemic problem versus how much influence should someone who is in charge and has a greater role in the...
Pretty effective over a lifetime.
It could be, but there's probably a much better way to approach things. Again, if you paint your wall every day, to go back to my previous one, your wall's always going to look pristine. But if there's a pipe that is constantly damaging it every other day, maybe it's better to stop that. Maybe that's where most of your effort should imply.
I'm in the why not both category. Like you can do both. Like I don't understand this argument, but okay.
It goes into how much energy. So
I'm not disagreeing that you should lobby politicians to take action on climate change. I absolutely agree with that. I'm just saying that you as the consumer can also do something.
But take that analogy to what we were originally discussing and,
Oh, speaking of that, go back to what we were originally discussing and talk about the seatbelt thing that you took issue with.
Oh, shit. That was like 10 minutes ago. So I think...
anymore.
Seatbelt. You made the analogy, correct me if I'm wrong, that wearing a seatbelt is not going to prevent someone else from wrecking into you, but it could still mitigate the negative side effects. Is that pretty fair?
Yeah.
So I think that a much better analogy would be driving a small smart car. Like, because the seatbelt, it has one job. It's there to keep you safe. That's its one job. You don't have a fashionable seatbelt so that you look good. You're not wearing a certain seatbelt on a certain day to send a certain message to certain people. No, it has one job. We all kind of collectively agrees that it works, and there's empirical data to support that it works. Even if some idiots don't wear it, we all typically know that's why a seatbelt is for. But a better analogy here would be, what if you drive a small smart car? Now, there's lots of reasons to pick this car in particular. It's more fuel efficient. It's easier to park. Maybe you just like the way it looks. But if you get into an accident, it's more likely that you're going to sustain much greater injuries and have a much greater risk of dying if you get into an accident, especially with a larger car, than if you were driving some big honking SUV. Now, the question is, could you, quote unquote, fix your behavior in this instance by driving a much larger car? Would you still call that fixing your behavior if you're trying to prevent?
This seems like a semantic issue all over again. Like the issue is the word fix, right? Because fix implies that there's a way you can stop something, right? Like if you fix a leak, there's no more leaks. I guess what should be, I don't know, what Sarah should have come up with a better word. I just adopted her language, but what word would you like me to use?
Risk reducement. Risk. Reducement, that's a word.
Reducement?
Reducement, yes. You're going to make up a new word for our entire conversation, okay?
Reducement, okay.
No. Fuck, why? I'm drawing a blank here.
So
I'm not nearly drunk enough for
reduce your chances of harm, right? I understand that. And I think anybody who's approaching the conversation honestly should understand that, which is why I get a little bit annoyed when the woke police get on my ass for shit that really should go without saying. Like, it just seems like a waste of time to have to deal with these conversations.
Yeah.
That I didn't pick the right word for the argument. Like, we're not talking about the argument itself. We're talking about the way I set up the argument, and I'm not sure that's really relevant to anything.
This is the thing I'll probably disagree with you the most on. I think it's the way you phrase something is as important as what you're trying to say. Because again, until we have a link between our two brains, the only way I can take what you're saying and try to get any sort of meaning out of it is to go by what you say, the context you say it, the words you use, and put it through my own filter. So it's very important that it's really frustrating, and you're never going to please everybody. But the way you phrase your arguments is enormously important. It's in a lot of cases, it's actually more important than what you're trying to say. Because really, what are we trying to say here? Rape is bad. I think that we can all kind of agree on that. But it's how you say it and how we talk. The conversation goes towards preventing it. And
okay, so I'm not an activist. I'm not sure this really applies to me. I don't consider myself an activist. I consider myself an asshole on the internet with some opinions. I understand it if you are an activist. Like, if a politician spoke the way I do, I'd be mortified. And I think most people would, and I understand that. But I'm just a shit poster. Like, what are people expecting from me?
Yeah. True.
Well, you do have an audience. I listen to what you say. I respect your opinions. I think you're a smart guy, and so
You're a fucking idiot if you think that.
well, we've established this. This should be apparent just by hearing me talk for the past 45 minutes. But if you have any sort of audience, I don't like because it's getting a little bit close to the Danky Low defense.
Yeah,
not in anywhere near close to it, but it is like I'm not really responsible for how people.
But I understand that. I totally am responsible for what my audience takes away from my message. I'm not so convinced that necessarily applies to posts on Twitter where what I'm saying should go without, like, what I'm advocating for, what I think should go without saying. Like, obviously, I'm not saying that women are at fault when they get raped. I shouldn't have to clarify that. So I agree. There's a way. I'm sorry. I agree that there's that I have a duty to my own message insofar as that goes. And believe me, I absolutely believe that with my YouTube channel. I try to construct my arguments as meticulously as I can on my YouTube channel. But I'm also of the attitude that if you simply don't like what I'm saying, quit. Like, I won't miss you. Like, there's not much I can do to clean up my language. If I'm not an advocate, I'm just going to share my opinions. And if you take something away from that, like, I understand that I'm partially responsible, but you're also partially responsible.
Something that is really weird with Twitter is that if you make a mistake or you say something weird, you're gonna get flocked like immediately. And even after you explain what you really meant, you're still gonna get dunked and flocked.
Yeah, the other attraction never gets as much traffic as the original mistake, right?
Well, I mean, I kind of knew I would probably get that. Like, I like Sarah. I think Sarah's cool. I don't think she likes me. That's fine. I did everything I could to, like, avoid getting the triggering because I knew it would happen. Like,
yeah, and eventually, something with Twitter that is also annoying is that when you try to explain something, a lot of people just try to corner you. It's not. They never really give you a chance to actually explain what you think. Like, they just try to corner you, and then they assume anything, and then they post you out to everyone because you use the wrong phrasing, and they ignore all your own corrections or explanations or whatever, and then you basically get fucked off the air. It's a really weird place.
I think we should advocate for woke police reform.
Yeah.
I got you here, honorary member of the woke police, and I don't know what you are, Tardo, whatever you are.
I'm not part of the woke police, that's for sure.
Okay. So this is an interesting conversation because it's something me and Claudia were talking about the other day. And this is something that kind of like bothered me. Like, I love Jorlasta. She's cool. She's very clever in her video on Sargon's Patreon ban. Do you know Jorlasta, dude?
No. Yeah.
Okay.
Love her.
Well, in lieu of saying the word nigger, she said right-wing troll. And I get that as far as politics goes. But that's one of those things that the woke police has like a lock on the narrative of that really kind of annoys me. And I know why, right? You don't want racist shitheads to just pollute every conversation with that noise. Like, I've had the Nazis spam that shit to me. Like, I've had fucking tons of shit spam like that to me. I think my most annoying one was what I thought was like a kind of a thinly veiled threat of somebody sending me a video of somebody getting burned to death with the word nigger. Well, no, that's a little off-putting, and I understand like why you'd want to avoid language like that. But this is politics, and this is an adult's game. And I feel like when you try to euphemize a word like nigger by saying the N word, it's really childish, and it empowers the word in a way that you don't empower other words. And I don't understand this. So explain this to me as the woke police would. Why is that a no-no word compared to other words?
And I'm a new recruit here. This is my first day on the force. So I would.
If you don't got an answer, don't worry about it. Like it's just a seed on the planet in your mind.
Yeah. Well, I'm completely unqualified, so let me just give you my opinion with absolutely no qualifications to back it up whatsoever. It's never going to add something to a conversation for you to use certain words. It's never going. Basically, that entire word has such a history behind it.
Which
either
word.
Exactly.
You say it. You have permission to say it in this chat, and you won't even say it.
Well, but here's the thing, though. You know what word I'm talking about.
Out of me
I don't
either,
have to
so.
say it.
Well, I mean, if we don't know what we're talking about, why do we have to avoid the word?
Well, we do, don't we?
No, we don't. You can say whatever you want, dude.
I know. I make the personal choice not to because.
All right, your argument was: do you say the K word instead of saying kike?
That's not.
I don't say.
Why? No, why is this so taboo? Do you say the K word instead of saying kike?
I think the problem here, for me at least, is that if you use that word, you are by offense just degrading others, and I mean,
the word
like the word cunt is not just that, but the N word is definitely just that. It cannot mean anything else in any context ever. It's.
Okay. I can't think of any context where the word like kike is acceptable. But in our political discourse, nobody euphemizes the word kike with the K word. And if you were going to make an argument about the history behind the word, which is what you tried to do earlier, I don't know, you want me to call you Jangles or SJW debates? I don't know what you want me to call you.
Jangles it's a fake name I made up, and I'm growing attached to it. Go ahead.
Retarded, but okay, Jangles.
Jangles.
The Jews were almost wiped out. Like half their population were massacred in the worst genocide in the history of the world, right? Like the Yiddish language almost died as a result of the Holocaust. Jews had, for a millennia, been cast as the people who killed God. The greatest crime there was, deicide, and have been expelled from country after country. Their history, arguably, is mired in greater suffering than the history of any African. But you don't say the K word for kike. So I'm not convinced that the history is the argument here, that the history is what applies here.
Well, I actually don't hear that word very often. So I don't actually see.
Won't even say
maybe this is just.
Is there any other swear word you don't say?
So here's something I can actually say. I am gay, so I can say faggot. And
can I say faggot?
I'm not going to yell at you, but No.
But that's a serious thing. There is an issue. This is the woke police's problem. This is the shit they do. They'll give you a pass if you say faggot because you're gay, but not me because I'm straight.
Yeah,
but I also know a lot of black people that doesn't like that black people,
Oh, this is actually what I was about to get to. So I grew up. I was a gamer growing up.
Chat right now, I don't know what's going to be yelled at. We know what black people's feelings have to be protected at all costs. You know what? I'll put you in timeout.
So like I was saying, so I try not to say faggot. Especially in anger, because I did grow up playing games, and that's just what you say. So my husband really doesn't like it, and he doesn't give me that free pass just because we're married together. I know, right? But he gets really mad when I say because it's still, and just because I'm gay doesn't mean there's not any kind of negative association.
And I understand there is, and it's really context specific.
And but here's the thing: when I say it, I'm using it as a visceral, guttural insult because still in the back of my mind, when I grew up, I hated gay people. And so that's where that connection still lies. That's where that seed grew from. I say it because I want to say something that is really impactful and directed at someone else. So I'm going to use the worst word I can think of in that moment, and that word is faggot. And the reason that has such a visceral connotation to it is because of a deep seed of hatred that I had when I was growing up in a very small town in eastern Kentucky where I genuinely hated gay people. So the seed, when I say it, I can't speak for anyone else, but when I say it, that seed is still there, and I'm actually working pretty hard to stop saying it because I know where the roots are, and I'd like to try to rip those roots out.
Do you think it's possible to use a word like faggot as an insult without it being pejorative against gays?
I used my defense earlier. It doesn't really matter what you mean when you say it. It's if someone hears it and they have that association to it, that's all. That's half the story.
It does matter. Like it is context specific, and I understand people taking offense, but sometimes it's a little bit on the outrage to be less outraged. Like I'll give you an example: Bill Maher saying "I'm a house nigga," like people wanted him fired over that. Now that was a joke. That was pretty clearly a joke. It was pretty clearly not intended as a pejorative. Why should he have been in trouble for that?
Yeah, because he uses it as that, like that he would be some kind of a lower person, or
And I don't like the it's just a joke defense either. Like I fucking love comedy. Like I've listened to hundreds of thousands of hours of stand-up comedy. I love comedy because it matters. Like comedy matters to me. It's very important to me. So it's counterintuitive. I can't hold these beliefs at the same time. The comedy matters and I love it, but also it doesn't matter because it's just comedy. I can't hold those two beliefs at the same time.
No, it can matter.
No, I agree. Comedy matters.
No, I don't disagree that it can't matter. It can matter. I understand that it can matter, and I understand these arguments. I don't understand why it matters in the way Bill Maher used it when it was clearly not intended as a hurtful pejorative. Like, why does it matter then?
Because he's speaking about a term that is, about others, that is not about him.
If he used a different term, would that have been an issue? If he said I'm a house negro, would you have been
no.
That's still pretty bad.
Yeah.
Why? No, that's the thing. What if he said I'm a house kike? I'm a house wetback. I'm a house dog. How about that?
No,
A house dog?
I don't think there is a way for Bill Maher to make his joke clever enough to use any of that. But
well, none of those terms mean the same thing, and they wouldn't give him this image that we want to see, that he meant for us to see with any of those words.
So the image I got was like of a pampered person, right? He's a pampered person. That was the joke.
Oh, so when I hear that, I mean I'm pampered because I curtail to all the right people, that I bow to the master, and that's why I'm treated good. That's what the image I got to it, and there's really none of those other words really give me that same context. See, I got the joke. I totally got the joke. I just what's his name? Fuck. Bob Chipman made an awesome video on risky comedy, and why just saying something like that shouldn't give you a pass. The issue is when you can say something like that and then get away with it because the point you made or the joke you made was so fucking phenomenal that the risk you took to get there made the joke that much better. So you don't get point. Go ahead.
Were you outraged by that joke?
Outraged? I didn't
like
it.
Let me rephrase that then. Do you think the outrage for that joke was justified?
I don't. I'm not familiar with the outrage. I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with how pervasive it was, because I know that if you just find 20 people on Twitter who were really pissed off about it, it can look like it's outrage. But like, I'm not sure. I'm not familiar enough with the joke to make a good comment on that. I'm sorry.
My issue is that joke is identity specific. So you know who Dave Chappelle is?
Yes. I'm old.
I'm old too. Dave Chappelle had this joke about this white family called the nigger family.
Mm-hmm.
And that it was hilarious as a skit. It worked as a skit. I didn't have a problem with that skit, but nobody got onto Dave Chappelle for that.
No, because the joke and the entire setup was very, very carefully put together. It's the difference between being impressed that someone is walking a tightrope with no catch versus someone who walks a tightrope and falls off.
Well, let me ask you: if Bill Maher had done a skit called "The Nigger Family" the exact same way as Dave Chappelle, you think there'd be outrage for it?
Probably more so, but you can also look at someone like Mel Brooks. And he did racial comedy back in the day, and we don't look. Yeah, there's some jokes that age pretty bad in the Blazing Saddles, but the whole racial dynamic I think has aged pretty well, which is fucking phenomenal for comedy. Like comedy is the first thing to age, and it's the very first thing to age poorly. But there's a lot of stuff that people still genuinely love. Now there is a part in that movie where toward the end where he just yells at a bunch of dancers and says, "Hey, faggots," or "Okay," or something to that effect, and that hasn't aged well. That isn't funny anymore to me. But I also think it's we shouldn't cancel the movie.
A requirement of jokes that they have to be timeless, though.
No, like I said, you can't make a timeless joke.
This just goes back to what I was saying, that they're context specific.
Yeah,
I guess what I think aggravating is there's no consistent standard about when these words apply and who can use them. It seems like if you're the lighter your skin pigmentation, the less allowed you are to use the word, and I think that's a really stupid standard to have. And every time somebody like tries to defend it, they do a poor job of it.
Yeah, but I also feel like it's important to say that it's not illegal to do these bad jokes. Like, you can do them, but you're gonna get criticized for them.
Yeah,
it's so
there is such a thing as invalid criticism, right? Not all criticism is equal.
No, that is true. But for me, it's like if the joke isn't worth it, then don't use it, because it has to be a very good reason to use certain words. Like
I'm pretty sure you're both going to think I'm like a huge racist after this.
No,
because there's enough context, and I'm not really here to attack you. Huh?
No.
So, but I will say that just saying it because you can say it, I mean, do what you want, absolutely. But if someone takes offense to it, like, they're allowed to do that.
No, of course they're allowed to do that. You're allowed to take offense at anything. My issue is that when you treat the word as a euphemism, like if you treat it in this childish way where you have to say it's Voldemort, it's he who cannot be named, right? If you have to do that kind of shit, you empower the word beyond what it is. And I understand the word has venom. I understand that it's got a history behind it that gives it that venom. But we're never going to get over that venom if we keep avoiding it like the plague.
Can we do is just saying the word, is that a means of not avoiding it?
Is that what?
Is that a means of not avoiding it? Is by not saying the word? Like, we know the word exists.
If you say the N word, yeah, that's a way of not avoid. It's a way of avoiding it.
So I guess a similar situation would be things like idiot and moron, which used to have like medical terminology, if I'm not mistaken, and now they just kind of come to mean generally something. They said something dumb, or it's just a vague insult. It's not actually referring to them having a specific IQ, correct?
Yeah.
So that has
retarded is another word that's kind of fallen out of favor for the same.
But we can also make the argument that the reason those kind of came into modern lexicon and now they're accepted is because who cares about stupid people? Like, there's no genuine compassion for people with really low IQs. So of course, like, yeah, if you're who cares if it hurts their feelings? You could also make that argument. Like, the reason it's accepted now is because there was no genuine sympathy for people for disabled people. And that's why they got into broader usage, because who cares if you hurt their feelings? Now, though, since we're starting to get a little bit more sympathy towards people with mental disabilities, or I'm not even like, I might be have a fake complaint filed against me for saying that as a member of the woke police. But now that we are starting to get more of those sympathies, now we're sort of like, maybe you shouldn't say idiot, maybe you shouldn't say moron, because now the sympathy is there.
I mean, some people think that, you shouldn't say things like moron and idiot and retard or stuff like that. It's, it evolves over time, I guess. But everything about the N-word is just, it's a stupid word. Even it doesn't mean anything else than trying to classify someone as less than you.
Well, neither does retard.
No, true. I mean, but
you don't have the same attitude.
It kind of does, though. Like, you can't use. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say the R word. You can't use the R word in all contexts. When you're saying it, if for it to make sense linguistically, it has to mean you're calling someone dumb, like they're not good at something because they're not intelligent enough for it.
Yeah. I mean,
you wouldn't call someone.
You are. If you call someone that, you are putting them, below you. It doesn't matter.
That's the point of all insults, though. Every insult is to put somebody below you.
Yeah, but these words have, so much fucking history of violence and death, and
the reason they're insults is because the way that they're insults is that you're making a comparison to something bad. So if you call someone a faggot, it's because you're bad because I'm associating you with gay people who aren't as good as straight people. Otherwise, it's not an insult.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, if I wanted to just come up to you like, "Hey, German, how you doing, German?" instead of with that kind of venom, like that's kind of weird. I don't.
Or crowd, whatever.
Yeah, but that has a very different connotation. Like otherwise, it just connotation like, oh, you're from Germany. Is that a bad thing? Why is that an insult? Like you'd be a little bit confused, right? But if you say faggot, holy shit, there's a reason why you know that's an insult because that has an association with it with a negative connotation to it.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, I feel like we're going in circles. Like I was going to respond, like they all have a negative connotation. That's the point of using the words.
Yeah, but now you get to be creative. Now you get to tailor insults to something really specific. Like having your language at least not having it like taken down a peg and having to wade through some hoops.
Well, the issue isn't. Well,
now you get to be really creative. That breeds creativity. Now you can like get really specific to the situation.
The issue is now the words hurt more when you avoid them. Like I understand creativity, great. If now because nigger is a word that is euphemized now, it hurts more when you're called it. Right? It's the heated gaming moment word that I'm playing games. I know you're familiar with it, right? I've been called a nigger playing games. I've called people niggers playing games. This is a thing that happens, and I totally understand it. And maybe that goes to say the gaming culture is a little bit toxic, but it's a different culture, and you can use these words without necessarily being a racial pejorative. All the impact that happens, the only impact, the societal impact that happens when you try to euphemize a word and avoid a word like that is you make the word more powerful and painful when it actually is used. And I don't want to make people afraid of words.
So I think people should be afraid of words. Words are enormously important. I think free speech is enormously impactful and important because words have power. So if you shouldn't be afraid of words, it means because words don't have power, and that's just not true. Words have enormous power. You should be afraid of them. That's why free speech should be protected because speech can, if it can help people, it can harm people. So if gaming culture was absolutely perfect with absolutely no racism, it would be a little bit different. But that's not the case. If you ever watch Overwatch Contenders, anytime I think Malik is the guy's name. He's one of the he's a black newscaster. Anytime he's on stream, they spam tryhard7, and they're not doing that because he's trying really hard to be a caster. Yeah. There's a very specific reason they're doing that.
And obviously, there's a racist way to use it, and I'm obviously not defending that. But well, I think what I'm trying to defend is nuance. I don't want to live in a world without nuance, and it feels like we've turned all nuance off. This word's bad always, and you can never use this word.
But using the word. How do I say
I know what you're saying.
Isn't that like a linguistic way of homeopathy? Like you just water it out. You try to water it out.
Exactly. That's the good thing. You want to water it out. You want to know that I don't it has. So
but I don't think that works because it doesn't like you can say it casually. Everyone can say it casually, but it's still gonna hurt people when it's used, by Nazis. It doesn't matter how used we are to the word. I don't think.
Jangles, is the word queer a pejorative for gay?
It can be. This is actually this is a great point to bring up because it can be absolutely. Like if I was back home in Eastern Kentucky and someone said, "Hey, queer," I'd fucking run for the hills. But if I'm talking with a bunch of my blue-haired contemporaries, it's being appropriated. Yeah, but you could make the same case. Like it's being reappropriated by the people who it actually affects. Like it's a good point to say to take some kind of reappropriation, but the reason that worked isn't because straight people decided that just now we call it's just the queer community now. That was from within the queer community from within the people who that word is referring to. So it was a little bit more organic and not just I'm going to say queer until the point where it doesn't mean what it used to mean anymore.
Yeah, which is exactly what a lot of black people have done.
Nigga, please. All right, I'm done with this conversation. You guys, I'm gonna get banned for this, so might as well go all in. Ethical CP, anyone?
Ethical CP? No. I just
no.
Just fucking leave.
All right. So, is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Is there any other way I'm in trouble with the woke police?
Well, we got an APB on you, man. We're gonna keep eyes on.
Yeah, but I don't care, so that's cool.
Well, that means we're just gonna be looking at you, and maybe I care.
Well, don't subscribe then. Like,
no, maybe I'm just gonna be
doing something you don't like. Don't watch. Like,
no, man. I'm gonna know exactly how much tentacle porn you're watching at all times, and it's for me though.
I am
I'm not gonna follow
I'm
report.
not into that shit. Like, if I'm gonna see somebody get raped, I want it to be like real life good shit.
All right.
Okay.
Dude, you just leave that hang.
That got.
God damn it!
Just leave it hanging. Just leave it hanging.
No, God.
Yeah,
damn it.
there's nothing.
I
to
did
add.
not
That has
know
to
how to
hang.
react to that at all. That was wow.
Okay, so anything else?
No, man. Thanks for talking with me. No,
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Out of myself.
Yeah, what the fuck are you even here for? You didn't do fucking shit. Get the fuck out of here.
Ah, he was so nice.
I'm kicking him.
I like talking to you.
Waste of time, Tardolf. You didn't come here. You didn't say shit, dude. All you did was just passively agree with this dude and murmur about like a fucking pussy. No, I'm just kidding. Tardolf's cool. I actually love him.
Oh, but yeah, he's cool to talk to.
No, he's actually a cool dude. I actually seriously like him. He's really cool.
Awesome. Does he have a Twitter or something for me to follow?
Oh yeah, he's a Tardolf.
Oh well, that'll fucking do it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's this fucker on Twitter.
All right.
I'll paste it in the chat, the side chat. So follow that guy.
Cool. We'll do.
He speaks a different language, so that's a bit of a problem.
That's.
I don't like immigrants. They have a different culture, different values.
Say words.
They say words in their own language.
Yeah, those bastards.
So, anything else?
No.
Okay, then
unless you know a lot about biomechanics or something.
No, I can tell you shit about, like, I don't know, the Burj Khalifa. I'll give you an example. I was telling Robin earlier, somebody else you don't know, but the Burj Khalifa actually has an internal pendulum built into it, so that when the wind pushes against the skyscraper and it sways with the wind, the Burj Khalifa has the pendulum swing the other way to counteract the force against it, so that it stays stable in the event of a hurricane. I'm sorry, hurricane, earthquake, anything that would like start to really push the skyscraper. Like, you don't build skyscrapers with like rigid steel beams. You have to actually like intersect the beams. Like I'm gonna draw it on my Microsoft Paint. But you actually have to like intersect the beams in a diagonal pattern like this, so that they absorb like wind pushing against them. If you do it like this, just say bye to your skyscraper. It's fucked. one earthquake and you're fucking done for.
I learned something about architecture today.
Yeah, well, have fun with that. Anyway, we're gonna close the stream now.
Cool.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for coming on. Yeah.